Don't move. Turn your fantasy football into reality. Here's CJ.
Welcome back. I'm CJ, and this is the Dirty Langer Report. Today, we're going to talk about running backs. Now, we don't do start sit here. I don't like to do that. The reason I don't like to do it is I don't want to be responsible for your failure. To me, the start and sit is a personal preference. If you've got, I get questions sometimes like, use the same two receivers that I used before on a show. Collins and Myers, who do I start? I don't know. I mean, one scores a touchdown and he's the guy who beats the other guy in that situation, that type of thing. So I just basically will answer that question with a question and say, well, who do you think is more likely to score a touchdown this week? Go with that. So that's generally where I'm at. But I had a question from a viewer here that sent me this message, no name on it, but it is a good question. Can I play two running backs from the same backfield in my fantasy lineup every week? Now, I have done this before. Last year I did it with Dylan and Aaron Jones, and I did very well in the league that I was in. I think I finished in first place. I lost a playoff game, and I wound up in third. So, I've done it before. I've done it on several occasions. I was always against that until 2017 when I convinced myself that playing Kamara and Ingram the same week was okay. I was about maybe 5-6 games into the season when I kept alternating them, but they were both doing so well. I thought, what the heck, I'll put them both in. And holy cow. That year was the year that Ingram rushed for like 1,100 yards and 400 receiving, and he had 12 touchdowns and 58 catches. I mean, that was like an insane number of PPR points. It was like 280. And Kamara had 300. He had like 700 rushing, 800 receiving, 13 touchdowns, and 81 catches. So between the two of them, I was getting like 40 points a week. So I wasn't sitting anybody. Those two guys just do their thing. I knew that every week I was getting like 35, 40 points, and I just set the rest of my lineup, and that was just set it and forget it. That's all that was, and that's great. But over the years, there's been situations where you can still do that. And this year, there's a couple. I've got a list here, so just a second here. Bear with me while I get this list together. The ones that I would suggest this year, I would say that Stevenson and Zeke in New England can be played every week together as a pair. Yesterday, they had 15 and 8 points respectively, which is 23, 24 points roughly, and they didn't score a touchdown. So they're going to probably get the same usage the rest of the season, and there's going to be some touchdowns along the way between those two. They're too good not to score touchdowns. So they're probably a 30-point-a-week pair. So unless you've got a couple of 20s or something like that, that's a pretty good pair to have in your backfield. Just make sure you have some people on the bench for the bye week because, on the same team, they get the same bye week. So just be careful of that. And they did very well this last weekend, or in week one there, with the Eagles' defense. Yeah, one of the best in the league, and they still got relatively good fantasy points between them. Robinson and Algier, definitely. I mean, Algier had 1,000 yards. He doesn't make him a bad running back just because Robinson's there. And the share doesn't mean anything. It just means that the more Robinson runs the ball, the more Algier's going to get to run the ball because they'll have possession more often. But the wide receivers in Atlanta are down a little bit. When you got those two guys, that's all you really need, right? But they had 20 and 24 points yesterday, 3 touchdowns between them. So you see, if you take away a couple of those touchdowns, they're pretty much the same as Stevenson and Elliott. So yes, you can play, two guys. Would I play Jones and Dillon this year? Yeah, I probably would do that if I had both. Williams and Akers on the Rams? No, I'd say not yet. I'd want Williams to keep rolling the way he was, and Akers is going to get better than he showed in the week one, early part of the season. Eckler and Kelly on the Chargers, that might be a duo, but again, I want to see some proof over time. And the one that I would definitely add to the list of yes, I woulds is Gibbs and Montgomery with the Lions. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's lots of points to be had there between those two. Some interesting combos around the league that might turn into playable pairs in Washington and Buffalo, but not yet. Got to see as the season goes, kind of thing. But if you're wondering, yeah, you can play two running backs from the same team on your fantasy every week, as long as you got the right two guys. So don't be afraid to do it. I mean, worst case scenario, you lose 1 week, but you win the rest. I don't know. But if you've got a couple of running backs that get 20 and 25 points, don't sit them in order to put a combo out. But if your handcuff turns into a star, don't be afraid to play them both. It can be very rewarding. I'm CJ. Have yourself a great week again. Hope your fantasy season is going well. Please send messages, like, subscribe. I'll see you soon.